I'm going to keep it short, but I think this is a topic still dear to my heart. So, of course, 2009 is well, behind us. In this room itself, I count at least 5 people I know from the same organization, and believe me, till date, we all say it with a sense of pride that we were associated with them. It was not something which was really expected. I think at least for the employees of the company, it was like a rude shock. So I don't know if there could have been anything proactive. I know we've been talking about change management, how HR is expected to be proactive, but when the business leaders themselves of the company remain unaware, it comes at you as something totally out of the blue. So this is crisis management, I think, at its, call it finest, but at its toughest probably. A lot of stakeholders came together. I won't give the credit of it only to the employees. I think the government reacted fast enough. There was a set of the leadership team that was put in place, thankfully. They didn't just think that, off with the head and everything else goes on. But also, most importantly, I think, Srikant, what happened was that employees came together. We call our employees associates. And the best part was that for 1 year, and I have many people here who work in the same organization who can testify to this, I don't think we really saw too many grievances. It was as if, the crisis had bound everyone together, and they had a common goal, which was to make sure that you kind of dug yourself out of the hole that you'd fallen in, even though it was not one of your own making. The circumstances beyond everybody's control, right? And I think there were still some very tough times during that period. We were acquired. There were some tough decisions to be made, as naturally happens. For example, there was a lot of normalization to be done, right sizing, call it what you want, which essentially meant that people who have been with the company were now, asked to find other opportunities. But how many of you would have actually read about it in the papers? Yes, HR was one of the factors, but in this, I think it was more about the entire company coming together, Srikant. Some of the things that HR did have to do, which since this is a strategic HR session, I think I should share some of those things with you as well. Well, for one, we had to design the programs right. Once you know that it was being acquired, for one, you had to make sure that the due diligence aspect of it from our side of it had to be managed. Second, when you're looking at what we call PPP program, you had to set in place a framework, to give people a very dignified exit, to help them find other opportunities. So there was an outplacement framework that was set in place. Third, there were obviously some very tough decisions which had to be taken from a financial aspect of it. How do you communicate all these changes? And the first thing that was done, in fact I have somebody here who was also part of that, the first thing that was done was that communication took absolute primary priority. We think that over-communication is bad, but during a crisis, people just want to hear something from you, right? They want someone whom they can call up and say, do you know what's happening? Am I going to be laid off? Do you know what's happening? Is the company going to fold? Whatever be the question. Almost overnight, in fact, the first thing that was done was that a help desk was created. And here were people who were from HR, manning it, people volunteered for it. There were different shifts set up so that they could, respond to queries from associates from across the globe. And this, I think, proved to be one of the best initiatives that actually, managed to make sure that what was an internal matter and had now become extremely messy was, managed very gracefully. Beyond that, I think there were a lot of other factors that were not necessarily HR created, but also things which probably HR drove in its own way. So for one, there was an initiative where there was an effort made to acknowledge the contribution of people who had helped the company manage this time. Obviously, you can't acknowledge all 70,000, 80,000, needless to say, but at least the effort was made that let's look at some key people within across all functions. We call it the power of one. So right from compensation, rewards, communication, everything was seamlessly managed by all the functions of HR. One of the rare times, I think, when we didn't have any arguments within HR. I think this is what effectively helped us get through with it. In fact, the first thing we talk about when we talk about an acquisition is about change management. Surprisingly, the first year was not at all difficult. I think everybody had a let's get to it attitude, and that's the primary that makes a difference. And that really helped us. Most of you know the history. By 2010, we were back. And of course, today the company is growing strength to strength in this new, integrated entity.